Hey guys, welcome to Plan the Day on Tomorrow. My name is Gary Thurman, founder and CEO of Guardian Investment Advisors. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to watch us on Facebook or YouTube, or listen to us on one of the many radio outlets we use each and every week in Chattanooga and Knoxville. We actually do appreciate it, and we love the feedback that we're getting. We love the folks that call in, want to come in and sit down with our advisors, the folks that order my book. It's just overwhelming for us to be able to reach so many people through the radio and through social media, and we just want to say thank you. We appreciate it so very much. We're going to have a little fun today. Of course, I'm in here with Tim McDermott and Bobby Futch, but I was reading some articles over the weekend about different financial planning firms, and there's so many of them out there. I mean, here in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and in Knoxville, Tennessee, I mean, they're on every corner, it seems, but what I was trying to do is just do some research about what makes each firm unique, what makes each firm different. And I was able to take a lot of notes from that and did a lot of research on some different things. And I was sitting there over the weekend, actually on Sunday, and I thought, what's the Guardian difference? Why is Guardian Investment Advisors a little bit different than a lot of the other firms out there? So I wanted to take today's show because each and every week we talk about Social Security planning, income planning, tax planning, estate planning. We talk about all these different things each and every week, which is great. That's what we want to do. We want to educate you. But today, I kind of want to talk about who we are and what we do and what we believe in. And we're going to talk about some of those same things that you need to be ready for in retirement and how we process that. But we're also going to talk about us and who we are as people and why we do what we do. If I look at myself and Bobby and Tim and Brogan, I mean, we're over 75 years of experience in this industry. And what I love about all of us as a group, including our support team, Bridget, Abby, Katie and Katie, Tanner, Tristan helping us with all our video work, Rhonda helping us with everything with the business, we actually care. And that's what I want to talk about today. What makes Guardian a little bit different than most financial planning firms out there? Something I want to offer you right off the bat is if you're someone headed into retirement, we have this neat quiz you can take. You go in there and you put some answers to questions, and it really gives you a good feedback if you're truly ready to retire. And it's real simple to remember. It's giaquiz.com, giaquiz.com. Go and take that quiz. See if you're actually ready to retire. Then come in and see our guys here in Chattanooga. Go see Brogan up in Knoxville. Let's start putting that plan together for you today. Tim, Bobby, good morning.
Good morning.
How are we today?
I'm good. I didn't get blown or washed away last night.
Buddy, I tell you what, those storms rolled in.
Fast, too.
Yeah.
I mean, me and Rhonda just got home before it happened, and I mean, the raindrops were huge.
Yeah.
Things were blowing over outside everywhere. It was crazy.
So I have a 7-year-old daughter at home, and so when I got home, we were talking about it. I ran into it driving home. She goes, "Daddy, it rained 5 buckets outside." I said, 5 buckets? That sounds like a lot. I just laughed.
I'm ecstatic about all the rain we've gotten.
You
this
need
year
it.
Because my neighbor's big into his grass. He's been fertilizing it and spraying for weeds and bought a new mower this year, so it looks all good. We even leveled it this year. Helped him go over and level it. And so I'm like, well, my grass looks terrible. My grass actually looks pretty good, but
but
it
next
looks
to
terrible
his,
next
yeah,
to his.
Yeah, exactly.
And so all the rain, we haven't done the sprinkler system or anything yet, but it looks really good right now. So
It
I'm
is,
excited about all the rain.
We've had a very wet season.
You're getting old, Tim.
I know.
I know.
I need some white New Balances.
Tom, if you're listening, I'm sorry. He just called you out, by the way, on those white tennis shoes. I love it. All right, guys, let's just jump in. We always talk about here at Guardian, we handle everything from A to B, A to D, A to Z, ever how you want to say that when it comes to retirement planning. But, Tim, someone walks through our door, and Tim, they say, "Tim, I've already got an investment guy." Our first thought is good. At least you're starting somewhere. But the retirement planning involves a whole lot more than just managing investment accounts. What are some of the things that people don't realize have to work together?
Yeah, the investment planning part's really important, right? And usually what we'll see is throughout your working career, you're focused on your career, you're focused on raising a family, you're focused on all these other things that have your attention. and some guys over there and managing the funds, and they're probably they're not usually doing a bad job.
Correct,
If
yeah.
I
Yeah, those guys
think
wash
that's
out
right.
pretty quick if they
Yeah.
do one thing and don't do it well.
Agreed,
Yeah.
agreed. So that, they're growing the money, they're growing the assets. But as you get closer to that retirement date, the conversation needs to shift from how do we accumulate to how do we take this bucket that we've accumulated and develop a plan out of it.
Right.
The plan has to include an income plan, has to include inflation, has to include taxes, has to include estate planning, has to include how do we take care of health insurance and long-term care, right? All these different things are a big part of the planning process. And when you dig into each one of those things, there's Social Security planning,
Yeah.
and Roth conversion planning, Medicare. Is it traditional long-term care, or do I look at a different route to kind of handle those things?
Yeah.
So there's so many things that go into the retirement planning aspect that are way above and beyond just the investment portion of it. Right?
Yeah, I kind of feel like when you're starting the retirement plan process, it's almost like you're sitting in a room with 6 different people. You've got your CPA, your investment advisor, your estate attorney, your Medicare agent, your Social Security guide, whatever the case may be. There's so many moving parts to this retirement puzzle, Bobby, that we try to fill. But Bobby, can you give us an example without using names, of course, where you've seen somebody come in with several different financial products or several different advisors, but nobody was really looking at the entire picture?
Yeah, we see that quite a bit, right?
Right.
Clients or prospects that come in and they've done a good job up to this point, but your point, they've got the investment manager that's going over there doing investment management. They got their CPA or tax preparer that files income tax returns for them. They've got their insurance agent over here. Nobody's talking to each other, right? And so it's up to you to try to figure out whether all those folks are doing work that fits together into a comprehensive plan. And we find that oftentimes, even if they kind of fit, there's a lot of ways to get them to work better for each other. Sure. And that's kind of the role we try to serve is, hey, listen, we know enough about all these different things to make sure that they fit together well. And you know what? It's oftentimes we get people in the same room. Listen, we're talking about Roth conversions. We'll put an outline for you, but we're going to go check with your CPA.
Oh, you have to.
Right? If you've got, life insurance out there, we're going to look at that and say, why do you own that, right? It's not just as simple as you got a mortgage, you got kids, you need life insurance. I probably agree with that. But do you have a bucket over here that could cover some of that? Are you overpaying? And you don't see the whole picture oftentimes.
So do you think there's oftentimes when people come in and see you and Tim here in Chattanooga or Brogan up in Knoxville where they have all these different things going on that you're talking about, and then one vital thing might be missing from that plan?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Because we just listed off a bunch of different professionals, right? And so if you don't have, 4 or 5 people that are providing different services, or somebody like a guardian who's kind of like, to use a sports analogy, the quarterback, right? The quarterback kind of runs a football play, but they're not catching the passes, they're not blocking, they're not, generally running the ball all the time, right? You've got to have a whole team, but you got to have somebody there to be the quarterback to make sense of what looks like madness.
And that quarterback's got to have time.
Yeah.
He's got to have time to survey the future. We always
Yeah.
talk about looking out the front window, not the back window.
Yep.
And, Tim brought up a few minutes ago, Social Security. I think a lot of these firms out there that are just growth motivated, again, we need that, but they're not even looking at the Social Security. I see that like your offensive lineman. I mean, your offensive lineman has to do their job. So
yeah.
your Social Security better do its job.
Yeah, without a doubt. And it's so easy for advisors just to say, Gary, just wait until you're 70, right? Get the most Social Security. But we always talk about Social Security optimization,
Yeah.
not maximization, right? The best thing for you might not be going out and getting the most you can, because that puts your other resources at use, maybe earlier than they have to be.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to throw this out, and I hate to be this way, but if you are just an asset manager, you get paid managing money.
You're right.
Right?
Yeah.
That's where your paycheck comes from. If that's all you're thinking about, there's an incentive there to keep as much money under management as you possibly can.
Yeah.
So if that's your livelihood, listen, I'm going to tell you not to take money out of the account, right? That may not be the best thing for you long term, though.
And everybody's situation is different.
Absolutely.
Everybody's situation is different. And that's why I think everybody, if you're listening today, go to giaquiz.com, giaquiz.com. Take that test. Takes about 7-8 minutes. I want to throw some rapid fire questions at you guys, and basically like, who handles that? So we're going to give you some retirement issues, and I'll just go back and forth. And should these things be part of an income plan? I think we know the answer to most of them, but Tim, income planning.
Yeah, who handles that? That would be us, right?
Right.
And you sit down with your advisor. Your advisor should be able to help you build out an income plan that makes sense for your lifestyle.
I love it. Investments, Bobby?
Yeah, absolutely, because the investments, that's going to drive that income plan we talked about. That's where the tool comes to make that income. And not all of it should be for immediate income, right?
That's
you
right.
still have to have some growth. So
Yeah.
still have to
Tim,
have
Social
those.
Security.
I think, your advisor should be able to help you build that into the income plan. That's part of the income plan.
I agree. This was a big one, Bobby. Taxes.
Yeah, this is a big one. To Gary's point, is a lot of what you do in these other things affects your taxes. And I got a bunch of CPA friends, so I'm not talking bad about them, but a lot of them are tax preparers.
Mm-hmm.
They look back in the last year and say, this is what has happened.
Yep.
Very rarely do they look forward and offer you solutions to mitigate your taxes moving forward.
A little bit of both then, right?
That's right. There's so many things that go into a retirement plan. One thing we didn't get to that I want to jump back in on the second segment is the word fiduciary. So when we come back, we're going to talk about that, and then we're going to talk about something that's not in your retirement plan, and it's called culture. The culture of the group that you're actually working with. Again, I'd invite you guys to go take that quiz, giaquiz.com, giaquiz.com. You can always get a copy of my book, Plan Today, Own Tomorrow, by going to plantodayoffer.com. We'll send the book right out to you. After you read the book, you can come in and see Tim and Bobby here in Chattanooga, go see Brogan up in Knoxville. Again, plantodayoffer.com. When we come back, more from Tim and Bobby. We're going to hit the question about fiduciary, and then we're going to talk about a little bit of culture. We'll be right back.
Every year, taxes are handled the same way. You earn income, the year ends, and you file a return. That trains us to look at taxes through a rearview mirror. Retirement taxes do not always work that way. Qualified retirement accounts are generally taxed based on future income decisions and future tax rates. Once those decisions are made, flexibility may be limited. That's why tax planning often works best when done proactively, before decisions are locked in. Visit plantodaytaxbill.com or scan the QR code to use our free tax calculator and see what that potential tax liability on your qualified retirement assets could look like based on your current assumptions.
Welcome back to Plan Today, Own Tomorrow. Gary Thurman, founder and CEO of Guardian Investment Advisors. Having a fun show today because we're talking about the difference in who Guardian is, what we do, how we do things. And if you're someone out there headed into retirement, maybe you're looking for that perfect outfit to help you, that perfect financial planning firm to help you. That's really what we're trying to portray on our radio show today, and I hope you guys are enjoying it. And again, I want to throw out the quiz, giaquiz.com. If you're someone 55, 60, you're headed into retirement in the next few years, go to giaquiz.com, giaquiz.com. Take that quiz. It's going to give you some good insights on if you're truly ready to retire. Again, giaquiz.com. Tim, let's start with you on this. We hear this word a lot. It gets thrown around all the time, and that word is fiduciary. Can you explain in just simple English terms what that word means and how we use it here at Guardian?
Yeah, put in its most plain format, it's just the responsibility that we have as the advisor to do what's in your best interest as the client. You have to come first. Your interests have to come first, above and beyond anything. You would think that that's just
Common.
typical, right? Just,
Common.
Yeah, that's how you do your job in this industry, right? But unfortunately it's not.
No.
There's another standard called suitability, and that just means that whatever you're doing has to be suitable for that client. It just has to work, right? It doesn't have to be the best thing, but it does have to work for that client. So fiduciary is actually a very important thing. It used to be less common than it is now. So if you're not working with a fiduciary advisor, that should be a red flag in today's world, right? Walk out there, find someone who is a fiduciary, who is held to the responsibility of, you have to work in my best interest.
Yeah, and I think the suitability part's important too, Bobby.
Yeah, it is, and the fiduciary thing is kind of weird, right? The licenses that we hold here at Guardian, the Series 65 license that a lot of us hold is that's what requires us to do that, right? We could lose our license if we don't put our clients' best interest first. But I also, it's interesting to note, you can hold as an advisor a fiduciary license and then a non-fiduciary license.
Right.
And then you can pick and choose which license you use to work with clients.
Sure.
So even if you if your current guy you're working with is a fiduciary, right, you need to figure out what license you're doing business with them as, right, because that could change your relationship.
And I've seen here recently some of the folks we've been seeing up in Knoxville, and I've seen it here in Chattanooga over my last 30 years, where someone goes and works with an advisor, and they do one thing. Guess what? I used to be this guy. I used to be an insurance, annuities, and that's why Tim got involved in the business, because I'm like, we got to have the manage money side of things to make our firm, better and do more true planning. But I've seen some people, Bobby, where they are doing that suitability clause, but then they tie everything up into an annuity, and that's just not the best fit for most people.
Yeah, you really need to be careful of that. We always say, listen, we love annuities here, right? They're a great,
We do, if they're properly structured,
a
of
great
course.
tool for a lot of people. But if you go to somebody and they say, hey, the tool you need is an annuity, and you need to put all your money in an annuity for this, that, and the other reason, that's a red flag, right? And that often comes with people who do their financial planning with an outcome in mind, right? If all you have to offer as a financial advisor is an annuity contract, you're going to find a good way to make sure that's the solution you arrive at.
That's the answer. What's your question?
That's right. And so you've got to make sure, Gary, I don't know how many insurance companies we're licensed with, dozens and dozens, right? And they all offer different solutions.
Right.
And it's up to us to make sure that we understand what those solutions are, so we know what tools are in our toolbox at any given time.
And
that's
to
a
me,
big
that
part of what
falls
we do.
under the fiduciary standard right there.
Yeah.
You're doing the right thing for the client.
Yeah, we really don't care what insurance company we work with for you, as long as they're a good, strong company and the solution fits. We're going to go with them, right?
Yeah,
we don't
absolutely.
work for any insurance company.
Yeah. But
Something else that you need to think about with the fiduciary is
sure.
disclosures of fees, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oftentimes, you can be wrapped up in a fee for that you're paying the advisor. They're using sub-accounts that you're paying another fee, and you're in mutual funds that are paying another fee, right? Ask those questions. And if they're a true fiduciary, they should have absolutely no problem disclosing all of that. And then potential conflicts of interest. If you're getting paid to peddle a certain investment, you really need to talk about those. And if you're a fiduciary, you disclose all of that.
Sure.
Yeah, I understand. So let's jump into some culture, guys. I think this is important for everybody that's watching us on Facebook or YouTube or listening to us on the radio, because you guys know I say something all the time. I want our clients to feel like they're part of the Guardian family, and that's easy to put on a website.
Sure.
Anybody can put that on a website, but it's much harder to actually live that and live by that standard. But clients are family. Actually, what does that mean, Bobby? When we say that, what does it actually look like in real life?
Yeah, we spend a lot of time in our initial meetings. We call them our discover meetings, right? Just talking to folks and listen. We have to know about your finances. Really, that's what we do every day.
That's
is
financial
plan for
planning
this.
101.
It's financial. We've got to dig in and figure that out. But so much more drives your financial decisions and planning than just numbers on a page.
Sure.
Right? We're going to ask about kids. We're going to ask about what you're doing, right? And, I know some of my clients better than I know some of my aunts and uncles.
Sure.
Right? And that's not an exaggeration. And I think once people get comfortable with us, they share that. And it just helps us do our jobs so much better, because we know what your goals are, what your desires are, right? What makes you feel good and whole, and that really lets us do our job. We strive to have that relationship with as many clients as will open the door and let us do that.
I mean, Tim, we're talking about a life story here. We're not really talking about a portfolio. We're talking about someone's life that could last 25, 30, 35 years in retirement. Is that something that, you got to know who these people are and what they do and what their goals are, what their family's like?
Yeah, one of the things I talk to my prospective clients about when we're initially starting that conversation is we're not really interested in bringing on a client for 2 or 3 years and seeing you out the back door at some point, right? It's not it's not my business model. It's not what we want to happen. We're looking to build a relationship with you for life. We're hoping that you'll be a client of ours for life. No one's required to be. You don't have to be. But that's the kind of relationship that we're looking to build. And we know that as a lifetime client, it's better for you because you're working with someone who knows you, who's seen you through your lifestyle, through retirement. And then when your kids come to us, one day when we go home to see God, we'll be able to talk to them, and we understand what they wanted, and we'll be able to relay that to their kids, and it'll be a more beneficial process.
Yeah, I get it.
But also, when you're in a point in life where things are difficult to make decisions, or you end up in a facility that you needed some long-term care help with, we're there to help kind of guide those decisions as well. So there's multiple reasons to have that relationship, and somebody that's kind of watching your accounts for you, so you can enjoy retirement. You don't have to be worried about this.
Be stressed out about it.
Yeah, it's one of those things, Gary. If you have $50,000 or $500,000 or $5 million, it doesn't really matter. That number represents decades of your life's work.
Sure.
Right? And I think that's often overlooked by people in our business.
I agree. Let's talk about listening. I think that's one of the things we do well is we listen, because all the things that we were just talking about, if you're having this conversation with somebody and we're not listening to them, we're not going to learn about them. We're not going to know what their hobbies are. Where do they go to church? What do they want to do for legacy benefits? What do they want to do for vacations? And Bobby, I think that's something that's overlooked in a lot of different financial planning firms. But walk people through, what does that first conversation look like if someone decides to come into Guardian Investment Advisors?
Yeah, we're going to sit down with you, and generally the question we open with is, hey, what can we help with, right?
Sure.
It kind of gets at, why are you here? There have been plenty of days that have happened in the past, and there are going to be plenty of days that happen in the future, but you decided to come in right now. There's generally a reason that you came in to talk to us right now. What is that, right? Are you getting ready for retirement? Was there an issue? Is there something that's worrying you, not sleeping at night? There's something that brought you to the table with us right now. And that generally helps open the door to kind of figure out, again, not just your financial picture, but from an emotional standpoint, where are you sitting right now? And then kind of work through that. Really, okay, you're here now for a certain reason. You want an outcome.
Sure.
Right? What is that outcome?
Mm-hmm.
And then we have a lot of conversation about what do you want it to be? I'm going to retire in a year. I'm going to retire in 10 years. Just having that conversation about where you're at, why you're here, and where you want to go. Generally, that's before we talk any numbers.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And Tim, I think this is important to wrap up this segment. You gotta involve your spouse in this decision. I think we've seen it so many times where one person handles everything, but that one person could die tomorrow. Yeah. Don't you think that's important for both people to be involved in this conversation?
Yeah, I do. That's pretty common, right?
It is very common.
One person is the financial person that they kind of handle that. The other spouse usually wants it to be that way, believe it or not, and they don't want to be involved in this side of things. We do encourage our clients, at least at some point in the process of onboarding, to, hey, would you mind if your spouse at least comes in and has a quick conversation with us? I just want them to know who we are, a 30,000-foot view of what we're doing. And that way, if something happens to you, they know who to come to. They're comfortable with how things are set up. So,
look, if you're looking for a firm to work with, something else I'd like to invite you to do today is just go to our website, giaplantoday.com, giaplantoday.com. One of the greatest things you can do is go to the media tab, and you can watch our TV shows. You can listen to past radio shows in podcast form. You can see who we are. You can also check out all of our educational content on YouTube. So if you want to know who Guardian is, go to giaplantoday.com. And also, if you'd like a copy of my book, plantodayoffer.com, plantodayoffer.com. We'll send you the book right out. Love for you guys to have it, read it, come in and see Tim and Bobby here in Chattanooga. Go see Brogan up in Knoxville. When we come back, I'm going to have a little fun with the guys. We're going to talk about some more comprehensive planning. And I want you to know who Tim and Bobby are just a little bit better.
Getting choked up.
I'm getting choked up talking about it. I'm emotional right now. I'm in a glass cage of emotions. Ron Burgundy, right? Hey, guys, we'll be right back.
Every year, taxes are handled the same way. You earn income, the year ends, and you file a return. That trains us to look at taxes through a rearview mirror. Retirement taxes do not always work that way. Qualified retirement accounts are generally taxed based on future income decisions and future tax rates. Once those decisions are made, flexibility may be limited. That's why tax planning often works best when done proactively, before decisions are locked in. Visit plantodaytaxbill.com or scan the QR code to use our free tax calculator and see what that potential tax liability on your qualified retirement assets could look like based on your current assumptions.
Welcome back to Plan the Day on Tomorrow. Gary Thurman, founder and CEO of Guardian Investment Advisors. Sorry I got choked up there going into that segment. I had to take a little bit of a drink there to get my throat clear. But, hey, that's part of life. That just means we're doing this for real and we're doing it live. So no cutting out on little things like that. So, guys, we spent the first 30 minutes just talking about, why we're different, what things and what steps people have to take to be involved in having a true retirement plan. And I know we use that word a lot, plan, because that's what we believe in. You got to walk into retirement with a plan. But I want to have a little fun with you guys and let our radio listeners and our folks on YouTube and Facebook get to know you a little bit better. So I want to ask you both these questions, and you guys answer it. Tim, I'm going to start with you. My clients would say I'm obsessed with what? That's a good one.
Sometimes I get a little too far in the weeds. Numbers, maybe.
I like that that giggle from Bobby there.
It really speaks to our desire to educate people, though.
It does.
Right? We want to make sure that you understand what we've got, why the plan is put together, and how it works. Right, but there's a fine line between saying too much and educating. Right, and that goes for anybody. Right, if you're a car mechanic, right. I'm glad you can fix my car.
Sure.
I don't necessarily need to understand what you're doing or why you're doing or how you're doing it. I wouldn't understand it anyway.
Right.
And so we get into that.
I'm more of a you got to prove it to me kind of person. Like, yeah, that's great, but why? Right. Yeah. And so I feel like a lot of people are that way. And so sometimes I get a little far in the weeds with those
Bobby, what about you? What are you obsessed with?
I'd say asking questions. Right. And making sure that people understand things. I always... I do this thing where if we say, hey, here's the plan, we talk about it, and you go, yep, I love it. You say that, and I go, well, hold on, let me make sure you totally understand it. And maybe it's
they love it, but you want to just make sure they love it?
I want to make sure that they understand exactly how it's going to work and why we put it together. And so it goes back to that education piece, right? I may ask a little too many questions, and people go, okay, I already like it, Bobby. Let's go.
Bobby's thinking about all the hours behind the scenes that he worked on it, and it's like 5 minutes in, they're like, that's great, I love it. And he's like, well, okay.
Yeah, so Bobby probably asked too many questions. Tim, is there a question you ask too many times?
What are you going to do in retirement? Mm-hmm. I feel like we do.
Keep going.
We have to ask that question a lot because a lot of folks
hadn't thought about it.
Yeah, aren't sure, right?
Yeah.
And that's going to matter to your retirement
1,000%.
If you're going to go out and buy an RV and travel across the country, that's a different budget than, playing golf at your local course, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's big. Bobby, the part of your job you love the most is what?
When the light bulb goes off for people.
I love it. Yeah.
Right? A lot of times we come in here and somebody says, I've done really well and I want to retire. I just don't know if I can. We put a plan together for somebody, and the light bulb just goes off. And oftentimes we got to stop people from going out and quitting that day.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I love that.
Yeah.
Now you have the control to be able to do what you want when you want to do it.
What about you?
That's a great answer. I mean, it's hard to compete with that answer. I probably have the same one. And
right.
You're halfway through a presentation, and you kind of see it click with someone that's like, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And to me, it feels obvious sometimes as to why it makes sense because we've done it 100 times. But
yeah.
When it makes sense to them is when I feel like I've done a good job.
You guys made me think of, I have some clients in Cleveland. He was a professor at Lee University. She was already retired. She worked there as well, but she's already retired. And they came in to see me, gosh, guys, this was years ago. And, the first thing he said to me was, I'm going to have to work 3 more years in order for us to have the lifestyle we want. I said, well, let me do some work. And they came in the next week, and I had a plan written out for them. I went, brother, you can stop right now.
Yeah.
You can stop right now.
It's awesome, isn't it?
Oh, this is emotional, Gary. I mean, that was such an emotional moment. I mean, everybody's crying at the table because he's like, you just gave me 3 years of my life back. That was so cool. So I love that part. Tim, the hardest part of this job emotionally is what?
Obviously when our clients pass, it's tough.
Oh, that's hard.
But I think sometimes it's harder when someone doesn't grasp the reality of what their situation may be.
That's good too.
Where they may be in a situation where I can't sit across the table from you and say, I wish you could retire today, but you can't, right? You're not in a position to do that. Or you look at someone who's been in this job for 20 years and they're fried, right? They're burnt
They're
out
done.
on what they're doing. They need to get out, but they can't just yet, right?
Yeah,
For one
that's
reason
hard.
or another. And that's tough because I want to go back and make those numbers work for you so that you can just be done, right?
Yeah.
But it just doesn't always
Sometimes
work
it's
that
hard.
way.
Bobby, you got to answer to that?
Yeah, I'd say, it's always sad when clients pass away, certainly unexpectedly.
Yeah.
But
We've had that recently.
Yeah, we're able to, if we do good planning for them, it doesn't put them in a bad spot. But the worst emotionally for me is when we have to execute on that long-term care planning.
Yeah, that's
You know,
tough.
And I've seen it a handful of times in my career because you've worked with a person or a couple and you got to know them 10, 15 years when they were at their prime and just rocking and rolling.
Yeah.
And you really develop a relationship with these people, and watching them, decline in health is a tough one.
Yeah, I'm dealing with that very thing right now with some clients of mine where, the gentleman's been taking care of his wife for many years at home, but it's at a point now where he can't. Yeah. So we're having to have that long-term care conversation. It's tough. Bobby, a client moment you'll never forget. I just shared one a few minutes ago for me personally.
I'll bring some levity back to this. We just talked about clients that pass away, and this happened to me when I was working in Georgia. And Bobby, never forget somebody passing away. That's kind of morbid, but I got invited to the funeral, right? And I went with a coworker of mine, and it was such an awesome celebration of life, right? It was. I mean, I think the funeral was every bit of 3 hours long. Right, if it wasn't 3 hours, it was pretty close, and it was just a celebration of that. And the family knew that financially everything was good, so they could focus on that right there, and that felt good. Even though I couldn't run around and tell everybody that I had a small part in, taking some emotion out of that situation. So man, they could just have the most awesome funeral ever.
That's fun.
I hope mine's
love
half
that.
as good as that one was.
Yeah. Tell me anything for you. Is there a client story that stands out?
Yeah, I immediately went to a similar situation. Have a client down in Florida. They were doing well, and the husband had to go in for surgery, and unfortunately didn't make it out. And that was the first time I've been that close to the client passing.
Yeah.
And watching the wife and the friends and what they have to go through, knowing that he won't be there anymore.
Yeah.
It makes things tough. And he owned a business. And so he did a really good job of taking care of things so that was easily transitioned. We did a good job of making sure that things were in place for that. So it made it easy from the financial standpoint. But it's just not the whole picture, right? And so when I do planning, things like that are thought of now, right?
It's so hard. I mean, we had an event in Chattanooga a couple weeks back, gentlemen. You guys know this. Some of our very best clients were there. They came to the event. And then we ended up hanging out for probably almost an hour after the event, and we're just sitting around having conversations. And we wasn't talking about their portfolio. We wasn't talking about investments and strategies and income planning. We were just talking. That's one of my favorite things is we get to know these people so well. But I want to finish this segment, and I didn't talk to you guys about even having this conversation, but I want to talk about this for a few minutes. We're talking about us. We're talking about Bobby Futch, Tim McDermott, Brogan Walters, Gary Thurman, Tanner Moore, a Medicare guy, agent. We cannot do any of this without a team around us. Yeah. So, Bobby, let's talk about our team. Let's talk about how important it is to have a team that helps us with all these things.
Yeah, there's a lot that goes into what we do for clients that they'll never see, right? And that's just part of doing a good job is making sure that all this is taken care of. and Bridget and Abby and Katie and Rhonda, I don't think we thank them enough.
Yeah.
Because there's so much that they do that our clients, I don't want to say negative, take it for granted, right? Because they just don't know that it's happening. But there's so much that makes your plan and your retirement work that they do, right? And that allows us to focus on putting strategies together, keeping up on, tax law changes, keeping up on, all the new solutions that we can offer to clients, right? We're not the ones doing applications. We're not the ones taking phone calls. We're not the ones, updating addresses and all of that stuff that is absolutely vital to make sure that our clients have the retirement experience they want. And if you're a one-man shop, and they're out there,
I was one for years.
man, I don't know how you do it, right? Because you got to spend so much time doing the actual work that just doesn't help the clients prepare for retirement.
That's good. I like that. Tim, you got anything on that?
Yeah, I think that makes to kind of build on that. I'd say that to that point, there's so much that has to be done behind the scenes, right? The paperwork, and Bridget sits back there on the phone for, I don't know, a third of her day.
Hours.
Yeah, just trying to get a hold of somebody that can answer the right question in an odd situation. I mean, it's a tremendous amount of time that takes to get things done sometimes, and it's just that's part of the value that a firm like us brings is you don't have to worry about those things. We'll go find those answers.
Yeah,
right?
I don't think people realize how hard it is to put these events on we do, and all the
too.
different things we do, and calling people, confirming people, finding a restaurant to do it. I mean, there's so much that our ladies do.
Yeah.
It's absolutely incredible.
And I'll point out too that if you are meeting with one advisor here at Guardian, we've probably heard your name, right?
Yeah.
Because Brogan will call me or Tanner, Tim, and go,
Right.
"Hey, what do you think about this, that, and the
what
other
do I do
thing?"
with this?
We share. So you've really got 4 or 5 financial planning brains you're picking.
I love that. It's a
when you
team
grow.
approach.
It is.
It really is. Hey, you want to know more about the team here at Guardian Investment Advisors? Go to GIAPlantoday.com. GIAPlantoday.com. Check out our TV shows, our educational event on YouTube. And as always, you can get a copy of my book, Plan Today, Own Tomorrow, by going to plantodayoffer.com. When we come back for our last segment, I want to stick to this type of conversation. We talk about income planning, tax planning, strategies all the time. That's what we talk about every day. But I want to talk about the heart behind Guardian. We'll be right back.
Every year, taxes are handled the same way. You earn income, the year ends, and you file a return. That trains us to look at taxes through a rearview mirror. Retirement taxes do not always work that way. Qualified retirement accounts are generally taxed based on future income decisions and future tax rates. Once those decisions are made, flexibility may be limited. That's why tax planning often works best when done proactively, before decisions are locked in. Visit plantodaytaxbill.com or scan the QR code to use our free tax calculator and see what that potential tax liability on your qualified retirement assets could look like based on your current assumptions.
Welcome back to Plan Today, Own Tomorrow. We've had an interesting show today. We talked about a lot of things that Guardian does and why we do it. The last segment, we got a little more personal with Tim and Bobby. Of course, we don't have Brogan in here. We don't have Tanner in here. But we know their hearts, and we know their servant hearts and how they want to help people, truly help people retire and have a great retirement. I have this interesting saying, I want you to live every day like a Saturday in retirement. No alarm clocks, do what you want to do, but you got to have a plan in order to do that because life happens. Markets drop. Income gets short one month. You got to look at all these different things when it goes into retirement. Guys, I want to spend this last segment talking about why we actually do it, because anybody can find an insurance agent. Anybody can find an investment broker. Anybody can find a CPA. Anybody can find a Medicare professional. I want to talk about why we actually do what we do. What gets us up every morning to get in here and just go at it. So, Tim, let's forget about investments because I know that is your go-to and you're so good at it. But forget about that for a few minutes. Why do you do this?
Yeah, I find that sitting with clients and everyone's situation being a little bit different, I find it very intriguing that it's not just a flip around a plan and say, this is, similar to what we do for everyone. I like finding the unique solutions. I like being able to help someone take what they've done and make the most with it to help take care of them. I've always viewed money's just a tool, right? I worked on cars for a little bit in high school, just outside of that. And just like any other toolbox, the right tool for the job.
Right.
And if you've ever done anything with tools, there's about 101 tools for every job, right? You can get as specialized as you want. Being in this industry allows me to kind of go out there and find the right tool for the job. And I find it very satisfying when we're able to really just help a client benefit from staying away from the high taxes and plan for the future and letting them go out and buy the RV and go golf and have fun.
Live
right?
every day like a Saturday.
Ride the motorcycle, go to the football game, whatever the case may be.
Right.
I've done a lot of that with my clients. I've gotten out, I've done a motorcycle ride with clients before. It's just a lot of fun, and you really want that for your clients at the end of the day.
Yeah. Bobby, what about you?
Yeah, I think it's the little wins, and these are the ones that I always feel good about. We're in this every day. So, transactions that may seem really daunting for a client, to get through, that when we get through it and they always come back and say, man, that was so easy, thank you. Whether, that's buying another home, like we do that quite often for clients, help facilitate that thing. But it's always amazing. For them, it is a big life milestone, right?
Sure.
We went and bought the retirement home. It's exactly what we wanted. Tim, Bobby, Brogan, Gary, Tanner, thank you so much. You made it so easy. That just makes me feel really good, right?
Does it motivate you?
It does.
Does it motivate you to find more people like that?
Yeah, and being able to actually execute on these plans that are just kind of like dreams for a lot of people. No, it's not a dream. If you plan it, we can make it happen, right? Let us come and design that dream retirement for you. Then let's go execute it on it.
Yeah.
And every time we take a little step and the clients go, man, that just wasn't on a piece of paper. It actually happened, and I can walk in my front door, or I can get into my retirement convertible, or, hey, we're taking off on that RV that we bought, or taking the grandkids on a trip. Man, I love that.
You really want the clients who have that mindset of partnering with you, right?
That's right. Where
it's not just a transactional relationship. It's hey, this is what's going on. How can we do the best thing with this, right?
I love that.
That's a very enjoyable part.
I'm going to throw one at both of you. You ready? This is a great question. What do you hope clients, Tim, I'm going to start with you. What do you hope clients say about you when you're not in the room?
I really hope they say that Tim looked at our situation, right, from a very specific standpoint. Tim listened to us. I guess that's
the
really
big
what
one
I'm
right
going
there.
to.
Love that.
Tim listened to us. Tim planned for us, not everybody, right? That's what it would boil down to.
I love that. Bobby?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think, if I build a relationship with a client and for whatever reason, they move out of state and get a new advisor or whatever the situation is, right? I hope they look at me and go, man, I hope the next guy's as good as Bobby and Guardian was, right? That's what I'm hoping they're saying. I hope to set the bar, and we tried to at Guardian, so high. It's a bummer if you work with somebody else, right?
Sure.
And that really makes me feel good that I've developed a relationship, put a good plan together.
You guys are both still young, unlike myself.
I don't know, those white New Balances.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, I'm going to buy you some of those, by the way. 30 years from now. 30 years from now. What do you hope someone can say about the work you did for them at Guardian Investment Advisors? Tim?
Well, 30 years from now, I would think a fair number of my clients are passing on at that point.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
And I think it says even more when their kids look at what their parents went through and feel like they did a good job, right? Feel like we helped them do a good job at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But I hope they feel like they lived a successful, stress-free retirement at the end of the day. That's really, I think, the goal in all this planning is so that you can enjoy retirement and not stress about retirement.
I like that.
Right.
I like that. Bobby, same question.
I'm going to have a similar answer. If everybody had a retirement checklist, right, and all the things I wanted to have happen in retirement, You made a list when you walked into it. I hope 30 years from now, all my clients have checked all those boxes.
Yeah.
And said, man, look at this list.
Isn't that awesome? Such a great feeling.
We got all the check marks, and
Yeah.
we did it because we put a plan together.
Well, one more random question for both of you. Tim, what is your dream retirement look like?
A big piece of land
Mm-hmm.
that I can be outdoors most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to have a four-wheeler. Like to spend time with my kids and their kids.
Yeah.
Other than that, I think I'm pretty happy at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's right. Bobby, you have something in mind?
Yeah, I'm going to say I don't know, because I want the flexibility to be able to do whatever I want to do when I want to do it, right? So if that's go, rent a house on the beach for 6 months of the year, I want to have the flexibility to be able to do that.
Yeah, I think
right?
I'd rather just stay at my house.
Yeah,
I don't want to travel.
And that's a little different,
that's why
right?
it's different,
And if I get to be old and crotchety like Tim's going to be apparently,
Yeah.
already
is.
I want the ability to sit at my house and yell at kids to get off my lawn, right?
Yeah,
Whatever we want to do is the flexibility.
I get asked this question a lot because I've been doing this for a long time, and a lot of our clients like, Gary, first of all, when are you going to retire? And second of all, what do you want to do when you retire? Ron and I love to travel.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I want to see every continent on this earth. There's a few I don't want to go to, but I love to travel. I love to learn about different cultures and the history behind those cultures and I don't know. I get so caught up in how this world was shaped, from everyone in our past, and it's kind of neat to learn those things. So that's what I want to do.
I want to
in
see
retirement.
a picture of Gary freezing in Antarctica. Just as
Yeah, that might be one of the places I do not go.
Out.
Yeah, I don't like being cold, Bobby. I'm Irish.
I would
don't
go
like being
there.
cold.
That sounds like fun, actually.
Yeah, it actually probably would be pretty cool. But when we talk about what we do, we've talked about our team, our culture, how much we care. And I had a great conversation just yesterday with someone, and actually it's another advisor, a good friend of mine. And he asked me the question, Gary, why do you still do what you do? Guys, I wake up every morning motivated to come to work because I don't see it as work. I really don't. I did a podcast with our friend Clint Powell the other day, and he was asking about our story and how we got to where we're at. And one of the things I told him, Tim, is I met this man named Tom McDermott, and he turned my life around because he showed me how to do things properly because I didn't know how. But are we not still learning every day how to take care of clients? Do you guys agree with that? Every single day?
Yeah, if you're not, you're going to fall behind. This industry changes every 3 seconds, it feels like. And just even little things about how to work with people, how to I'm not even talking about economic changes and legislative changes, just what this world's shifting to and the next generation's mindset on retirement. It's all a little different, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Rhonda said the other day we're at dinner and having a conversation with a young person that was taking care of us, and I'm having a conversation with them about their future, their retirement. And Rhonda's like, Gary, you got a gift for young people. And I know that's not, most planning firms don't look at young people because there's not a lot of money there. They're just getting started out. But Bobby, isn't that, you both have children. Isn't it important to teach your children, but teach and educate anyone that comes across your path?
Yeah, and I think I'm proud to say we do a great job of that, right? If it's just a quick phone call to ask questions, you're getting started with a 401k. We do that often, right? And we also really want to involve our clients' children in their planning, as much as the parents are comfortable with it. But it would be my ideal situation where we get you comfortable with that and you involve your kids and heck, maybe your grandkids, before you get on down the road.
Sure.
And, it just makes that tool of money work better for the next generation.
We just had one of our great clients bring her daughter in.
Yeah,
her
you sure
daughter's
did, yeah.
doing well, and she just wanted to know, am I on track? And we had a great conversation. We can't help her at this point in time. We
Right.
can't
But you can give her
do
advice.
much for her. But that's what we did. We
Yeah.
sat there and we had the conversation. I'd encourage anyone that wants the advice, has the question, call us, ask
Call
us.
us.
Even if I can't help you right now, I'd be glad to give you the advice and tell you where I'd go.
I have a phone call today with a good friend of mine, Josh Porter's son, who's really just getting into things. And he's not going to be in a position where we're going to bring him in as a client, but I'm going to spend as much time as I need to just to give him some advice. And I think that makes us different. That is the Guardian difference. So if you've heard something today, you're like, I need to come see these guys. Here in Chattanooga, 423-710-9199. Up in Knoxville, 865-951-7526. I would encourage you, if you're 55 and above, go take our retirement readiness quiz, giaquiz.com. You can check out our website, giaplantoday.com, giaplantoday.com. And if you'd like a copy of my book, Plan Today So You Can Own Tomorrow and Live Every Day Like a Saturday, go to plantodayoffer.com. Hey, guys, that's the Guardian difference. We're here to help. We care. We want to service you the best way we can. Come in and see us. It's absolutely complimentary, and we would love to help you out. We'll be back next week with more on Plan Today, Own Tomorrow.